Welcome back to 1834, chess friends. Labourdonnais is winning this third match 3 games to 2. It's the first of 6 games that will take the match. And, well, let's just begin. We have d4, d5, c4 from Labourdonnais, the Queen's Gambit, and we all know all gentlemen must accept a Gambit. And McDonnell accepts without hesitation, for he is a gentleman. And we have now e3, e5, the bishop captures the pawn, the 2 centre pawns get exchanged, and now knight to f6, knight to c3, and yes, they've played these moves several times before, and what usually happens is McDonnell plays his bishop to e7, he gets his knight out the way, and then weakens his king side by pushing his f and g pawns as far up the board as they can go, and whereupon Labourdonnais destroys him very quickly. Last time he lost this opening in 29 moves, for example. This time he tries something different. Instead of bishop to e7, he does bishop to d6. And he did actually play this move all the way back in match 1, game 12, and Paul Morphy approved of it over bishop to e7. He did lose that game as well, so swings and roundabouts, I guess. They play on knight to f3, and castles from McDonnell, and h3 from Labourdonnais, trying to protect the g4 square. Rook to e8 with check, so Labourdonnais just blocks with his bishop. McDonnell brings his bishop to f4, and the white bishop here on e3 is now pinned by the rook, it can't move. Labourdonnais plays queen to d2, and we have queen to e7. And it looks as though Labourdonnais is in danger of losing a pawn here, because there are 3 attackers, 1, 2, 3, and only 2 defenders to protect the bishop, and this pawn is going to end up getting captured. So what does Labourdonnais do? Well, he just castles out of there, and McDonnell goes for the exchanges. The bishop captures first, the pawn captures back, the queen captures the pawn, and we have a final queen exchange with the rook ending up on e3, and when the dust is settled, McDonnell is winning by a pawn. I wonder what went on in his mind at this point. But not so fast, McDonnell. Mr. Jack Hackett says that this position is actually much better for Labourdonnais. So let's see Mr. Hackett's line. It goes knight to g5, attacking the pawn here. And so the rook comes back to defend the pawn. We have knight to d5, and then a knight exchange with the bishop capturing last. And now there are 3 pieces attacking this f-pawn, and only the rook and the king defending. So this pawn is going to be lost, and the king is going to be under some serious attacks, whilst McDonnell has got all these undefended pieces in the corner not doing anything. However, Labourdonnais did not go for this. Instead, he played knight to e5, and now the rook is trapped. So, yeah, McDonnell, I don't think you should have captured that pawn. It was a trap. Maybe McDonnell should play knight to c6, try to get rid of the central knight and get his rook out of the trap position that it's in. But instead of this idea, he plays bishop to e6, and after the bishops exchange off the table, Labourdonnais has king to f2, and he's clearly winning. But McDonnell just has a choice of which knight to exchange it for. He goes for the knight on e5, and after the pawn captures the rook, it's just a matter of, well, Labourdonnais trying to exchange off all the pieces evenly for the rest of the game until McDonnell has nothing left, and then, of course, Labourdonnais will win. So knight comes back to d7, attacking the central pawn, but for now, Labourdonnais ignores it, and he brings his knight to d5, attacking the c-pawn. Knight to a6 defends the c-pawn, and here Labourdonnais continues to ignore this attack and brings his king to g3. He's trying to centralise his king because it's looking like an endgame. So McDonnell captures the pawn, but Labourdonnais has rook on a to e1, which attacks the knight and x-rays the pawn. So, of course, McDonnell doesn't want to lose his knight as well, so he backs it off to g6, and Labourdonnais captures the pawn. McDonnell plays knight to c5, attacking the rook, so the rook comes back to e3. It's keeping an eye on quite a few squares here. It's protecting this one from the knight coming closer to the king, and of course it's covering all of these ones, stopping either knight coming in. c6, attacking the knight, so it advances to d6, attacks the b-pawn, although it is defended by the black knight here. McDonnell just pushes it anyway, and now we continue with h4 and h6 from McDonnell. h5, attacking the other knight now, and it has to retreat. It's got no safe squares to go to here. It can go into the corner, but that's even worse than f8. McDonnell plays f8, and we have rook to e7 getting on the 7th rank. Rook to d8, attacking the knight, so the knight comes to b7. It's attacking the rook, but more importantly, it's offering a knight exchange. McDonnell doesn't want to accept this straight away. Instead, he gives a check, getting his rook out of there. Labourdonnais blocks with his f rook, so now he's offering a rook exchange as well. Of course, McDonnell doesn't want to accept this. He plays his rook back to d5 and goes for the knight exchange instead, so the knights come off the table. Now, McDonnell might have been thinking that Labourdonnais was going to capture a7 with his rook here, but instead he's got a different idea. He plays rook to e8, and it was here on his 30th move that McDonnell resigned the game. He's lost the knight. There's no way to save it. You can't bring the rook across to protect it because you're just going to get captured. The king has got no help. It's just 2 rooks against the knight, and it's just done. So Labourdonnais is now winning 4 games to 2, and he only needs to win another 2 games to win this 3rd match. I expect he stayed up all night, drinking, smoking, and gambling with all of his friends. I'll see you next time.